If you're struggling with lower back pain and you're going round and round in circles with chiropractors giving you adjustments or manipulations in your lower back, telling you that they're going to realign you, this is complete rubbish. And in this video, I'm going to explain why it's rubbish and the exact system I use with lower back pain clients that you can use instead that will give you long-term results and actually get you back to doing daily activities and sports that you love doing with no pain, and will stop you wasting money on chiropractors giving you adjustments. So the first thing we need to talk about is why the adjustments that chiros are giving you, why they don't work. Placebo is a real thing. What is placebo? You might or might not have heard this term. So placebo is when, for example, they've done studies where two sets of people get given two different bottles of, let's say, for example, paracetamol, and one bottle actually has paracetamol in it and the other bottle doesn't have paracetamol in it. And just because people are told that it works with a bottle that doesn't have anything in it, psychologically, if someone tells them something works, then sometimes it does work. And this is what happens with chiropractors giving adjustments. So if we had 100 people who are getting adjustments for lower back pain, probably 90 or 99 of them, it wouldn't give them any relief. Long term, I'm talking about. Maybe between 1 to 10, 10 is probably a bit much, 1 to 5 people, they might get some relief, and more than likely this is through placebo. And the point I'm trying to make here is that it's not a repeatable system. And the reason it's not repeatable and the reason it doesn't get results for long-term results for most people is because we want to think about, well, number one, what's causing lower back pain? And number two, how do we go about fixing this? So we've got a lot of different things that we need to work on to fix your lower back pain. We've got mobility, strength, we've got confidence. And so we want to obviously improve your mobility, improve your strength, and then confidence will come as a byproduct of improving these two things. So they're the first. If we look at mobility and strength first of all, a chiropractor slamming down into your back, giving you adjustments is not going to improve these two things. And actually it's going to make those two things worse, because as you continue to avoid training or doing the activity that was causing pain initially, so you're not doing any exercise, you're not doing any rehab exercises, you're actually going to start to lose mobility because you're not moving your lower back. You're going to start to lose strength because you're not going to the gym. You're going to lose your confidence, and therefore you're actually going to increase the amount of pain, ironically, for most people. So there are a few things: mobility, strength, confidence, and then reduction in pain will come as a result of improving those three things. The other things that you need to work on or improve: sleep, nutrition, stress, and these are almost like lifestyle habits, aren't they? And again, not many chiros or maybe a few chiros will tell you or talk to you about this sort of stuff. So again, sleep, you should be aiming for 8 to 9 hours of good quality sleep a night. Nutrition, you should be eating enough protein, 1.5 to 2 grams per kilo of body weight. You should be in a healthy body fat percentage range. So for guys, that's about 12 to 20% body fat. For women, that's, I believe it's around 18 to 20, 25, 27% body fat. And then stress. Usually this comes as a byproduct of not getting these two things right, but also, are you stressed at work? Have you got good relationships? And stress, poor sleep, poor nutrition, drinking lots of alcohol, that is going to massively impact how much lower back pain you're getting, because we tend to store stress in this area, and it's a reflection of your lifestyle. And this is for 99.9% of lower back pain clients. Even athletes who have very good sleep, very good nutrition, usually there's some form of trauma or some form of stress earlier on in their life, or something that they're not dealing with. So sometimes what I'll suggest with people that I'm working with, lower back pain clients, is to go see and go work with a psychologist or someone along those lines, to actually help them understand this and some strategies to not cope with the stress, but deal with it head on, and fix that. So now that you understand what matters when it comes to fixing lower back pain, you can see why adjustments aren't doing anything. Because when a chiro is, imagine this, if this is your, let's say this is your back, and a chiro is giving you adjustments, so they're putting pressure into your lower back here, and they're saying, yeah, I'm going to readjust you, I'm going to realign your hips or your spine. Realigning your spine, first of all, doesn't exist. That's a made-up concept. They can't put enough pressure through your back to actually realign anything, so that's complete rubbish. The research supports this. Number two, it's not improving your mobility, strength, confidence. It's not improving your sleep. It's not improving your nutrition. It's not improving your stress or the quality of your relationships. So it's not improving any of those things. And they're charging you a ridiculous amount of money and claiming you're going to have a quick fix. So if we break down each of these elements, how do we improve your mobility? First of all, mobility with lower back pain can be broken down into a few different things. Number one is obviously the spine. So we need to get the spine moving. Again, some people tell you that your spine should just be straight all the time, but we actually need to get your spine moving. It's designed to move. So that's number one. That's what I do with clients. Number two is the pelvis, or the hips is a simpler way to describe this. So the hips. So you need to improve your hip mobility, and more specifically the region just above your bum, just where your tailbone is, around your sacroiliac joint, which is just below your lower back. So we need to get that area moving, but also just your hips in general moving and improve mobility there. Number three, rib cage. And this is looking at your breathing. So how well are you breathing? Are you a belly breather? Are you a mouth breather? Do you actually expand through your rib cage properly? So we're looking at that as well. And for most people with lower back pain, those are the three main areas for mobility that I focus on initially to get the biggest bang for buck. If you want specific exercises for all of these, there's loads of videos on my YouTube channel about specific exercises for lower back pain that focus on all those three areas for mobility. Then we have a look at strength. This is pretty simple. We've got lower body strength and we've got upper body strength. And we can also, core can be a slightly different bracket. And again, with lower back pain clients, I'm not just telling them to do like body weight, really basic mobility drills. We also need to improve all of these things, because getting stronger is never a bad thing, and that's going to help with your lower back pain as well. So lower body strength, we're looking at doing 2 to 3 days of lower body strength a week with squats, hinges, lunges, use of machines, anything where we can train basically all the leg muscles through their full range of motion in different positions. Upper body, again, 2 or 3 days a week, depending on the level of the person. Pushes, pulls, what people can manage initially with lower back pain, shoulders, triceps, just everything. And then core, same thing here. I'll usually just add this on to the end of these lower body and upper body sessions, and working on flexion, so bending forward from your back, side flexion, bending either side, and then extension, which is going the other way. And again, this is obviously dependent on how bad the lower back pain is and where they are in the process. And then another element of strength a bit further down the line is plyometrics. So essentially this is generating force quickly, so speed, if you like. And people only kind of think about sprinting or lower body plyometrics, but we've also got upper body plyometrics, which are things like med ball slams, med ball throws, things along those lines. And I tend to add those in 2 or 3 times a week alongside 2 to 3 times a week alongside the med ball, alongside the traditional strength stuff, med ball circuits. And again, these can be any variations of throws, slams, rotations, and usually I start in the least threatening position, which is in a tall kneeling position, and then we slowly progress to a standing position where we can put more power down with the throws. So that's strength in a nutshell. And then we got confidence. So confidence will obviously come as a byproduct of improving those things. Like, you'll notice it and you'll feel better because your pain is decreasing and you're getting better mobility and you're getting stronger. But how do we almost accelerate this a little bit? Well, we use testing. So initially when I get someone on board, we have a look at their mobility strength, how they move, and then throughout the process, then we're retesting and reassessing. And then if they're lagging in one particular area, so they're getting really strong but their mobility is still poor, then we put more of the focus on the program into their mobility, very simply. But also showing them the results and showing the improvement gives them the confidence in themselves that they are getting better and they are improving, which again makes you stick with the process and gets you results. Because with a lot of people who've got chronic lower back pain, so lower back pain that's been going on for years and years and years, very rarely is it going to be a 4-week or an 8-week fix. More than likely it's going to be anywhere from 4 months to a year for a lot of people if you've been dealing with lower back pain for years and years and years. So that's confidence. And then pain. So this will be decreasing as we go through the process. So if that's 10, worst pain imaginable, and then 0, no pain, initially it might be up here, and then over time we're going to get kind of this sort of graph. So you're going to get dips and troughs because pain is obviously not just physical. If your sleep is poor 1 week, your nutrition's off, you're more stressed at work 1 week, then obviously you're going to get slight dips and troughs. But overall, the overall trend we want going from wherever it is up here down to 0. Yeah. And then one more thing about pain that is really important that a lot of chiros aren't telling you as well is more pain doesn't equal more damage. So if you've got really, really bad lower back pain, doesn't equal more damage. If you've got really bad lower back pain, it doesn't mean you've slipped loads of discs. It doesn't mean that your spine is crumbling. It doesn't mean any of those things, because again, the way you perceive the pain and what someone's telling you, if someone tells you that your lower back is literally broken and you're never going to fix it again, or your spine has disintegrated, then you're probably going to feel more pain. Where if you come into me and you're in quite a bit of pain, but I say, yeah, this issue is fixable, your spine can regenerate, the discs can heal, we can build the muscles up around that area, you're probably going to report a lot less pain by the end of that session. So this is very psychological, and yeah, the more pain you're in, it doesn't necessarily equal more damage at the lower back. And then in terms of improving your sleep, your nutrition, and your general stress, I think the most important thing here is your routine, or how you go about habits or creating new habits. And I don't know if you've heard of James Clear, but he's a big guy on productivity. He wrote Atomic Habits, which is a really famous book. And I like a lot of his stuff around environment. I think environment is huge. And what I mean by this is, if you're trying to sleep better, for example, and you have your phone in your bedroom, well then, no matter how disciplined you are, you're probably going to pick up your phone before you go to bed, therefore reducing your sleep quality. And what you'll find with people who do, let's call them high performers, or people who do well in any area of life, they're not more disciplined than you. They just create a better environment. So again, using the example of nutrition, if you've got loads of shit and rubbish food in the kitchen and you don't have healthy snacks or high protein based snacks, then you're more likely to just go off course and pick those up because you have no other option. So again, that's an environmental thing. With relationships and stress, again, if your friends with people aren't conducive towards your end goal, whatever that is, I'm not just talking about rehab, I'm talking about life here as a much broader topic. It might be an idea to get rid of them and find people who you get on with who are conducive towards your end goal, whatever that is. And so environment is huge, and you need to dictate and change your environment to suit what your goal is. Again, with rehab exercises, if you can't be consistent with rehab exercises at home, then maybe you need to get a gym membership and go do your lower back stuff in a gym, just so you're in a different environment and you associate that environment with training, with rehab. So that's a huge thing when it comes to improving sleep, nutrition, and reducing stress, I find. And I'm not particularly, I don't focus on this loads with clients. I don't hammer it home, but I do mention it and kind of run through a similar thing here, because I do think it's really important if people are struggling to hit those basic markers, because you can do all the rehab exercises in the world, all the strength stuff, all the mobility stuff with your lower back, but if you don't improve and have good sleep, nutrition, relationships, the rest of it kind of falls by the wayside. By the way, if you enjoyed that video, you can check out the links down below in the description. There's one to work with me, or there's one where you can get 30 days of free injury advice to help you accelerate your recovery.